Go for it. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here in person. And just another reminder that we will be going to the live in person only soon for these workshops, because we know that when we're together, we definitely do things at a higher level and we're able to work better together and grow. So thank you for joining us while we have this online. And tonight's topic, as you can probably see, is about powerful posture and powerful lifting, which I will not be speaking on this tonight, but it is a very important topic, because if you can already see how someone's posture is, you will already have an idea of where they're headed, up towards health or maybe not, because we never stay completely static where everything is just perfectly even. It's either growing or it's decaying. So I'm glad you all are here. I hope that we can listen and grow together and learn something. So thank you for joining us, and I'll pass it off to Dr. Steve.
All right, so sometimes people would follow us on Facebook Live videos. We don't get to do them anymore. Facebook has stopped us from doing live videos. So that just happened this week, so good time. So there will be no Facebook. As soon as it started, it cuts off. So that means, and it's a little off topic, but that means when you see videos of things that we do, it would be helpful if you share them, because us, like many other healthcare providers on the planet, we've been disabled in Facebook land from actually doing live videos to update you. So I just tried to do it again for the third time this week, and it said, yeah. So those of you at home, let me fix this so you're not looking at just my lack of head. There we go, that's better. So we're gonna dig in tonight, powerful posture, proper lifting. So by the time you leave, my hope for you is I will be equipping you with the tools to be saving and changing lives. The question is are you going to be open and willing to do the things that we're going to talk about tonight? So just for fun, who is it that this is their very first class? It's okay, you just started, right? And who's been to like 5 or more classes? Is that Dr. Sam? That's 5, yes, that was a perfect number. And then we have people that have been to like 15, 20, 30, 40 classes, whatever it is. The educational component is more important than the adjustment component, because yes, we have to adjust the subluxation. We have to remove the nerve interference from your body so it can heal. If we don't adjust the thinking up here, then we're going to keep creating the same exact problems. And that's a big percentage of what we're going to be talking about tonight, of the daily habits that we have with our posture, with our lifting. Those are the things that create most of the problems that people end up coming in with. Where if we just had some relatively simple tools used repetitively, we could change a lot of the stuff. So the reason why we're going to start by talking about proper posture is, what do you think your posture or posture in general says about someone's health? So let's start with some robust dialogue. Slumped is bad, right? So if you see someone walking around like this, what do we already know, or what do we think we know about them? So if someone's walking around like this, do you think they are a joyous, happy person? Or has society told us they are probably challenged in the joy department, to say that nicely, right? But if they're walking around like this, like purposely, my nose is up just a little bit. What does that tell us? Confidence. What if my nose is up a little bit? Ooh, so wait a minute, hang on. So we have this cultural accepted decision that if we're walking with terrible posture, we're depressed and we're sad. If we walk with good posture, we're snooty. How crazy is that? Just a little bit. Good cervical curve. But it's almost like, yes, there's a level of confidence, but if we're really working on our cervical curve, maybe we're looking up a little bit. It's an interesting topic to me, that culturally this is bad and so is this. So what the heck are we supposed to do? Well, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So posture is literally a window to your spine. It's a picture of your health. So my clicker is going to play nice today. Let's try this one more time. Who wouldn't like seeing that out there? Oh, it's off. That's why it's not working. That was subluxating. So if posture is a window to your health or to your spine, we say that in one of your first days, right? Posture is the window to your spine. So we start in your pre-screening with posture, because it tells us a lot. If we have an opportunity to go out in the community and do a screening in the community, or do a health talk, which if you have places that you think we should go, please let us know. One of our community services that we love to do is go share this information as our gift to our community. So if posture is a window to your spine, and we know that good posture equals good health, and bad posture is challenged emotions and challenged health, well, that tells us a lot. And this could be your takeaway for tonight of look around to those important to you. How is their posture? Is it the posture of someone who is healthy and confident? Or is it on its way to someone who society would tell us is maybe depressed or sad or just subluxated, because that's a good thing, right? Not a good thing, but to know that if someone's walking around like this, they're definitely subluxated. I don't have to do an exam to find out. And we're going to dig into some of the research on that. So who do you know who doesn't have great posture? So you, yes. So the fact is you're here because there's a problem. We're working on that, right? And whether we ever get all the way to perfect posture or we just get a little bit better, either way, the only time, I heard this one today, it's what's the only time you can actually coast? When you're going downhill, right? So you're on your way. So if you're coasting through life expecting good things to happen, the only time your car is actually going to coast is going downhill. Otherwise, you're always slowing down. So maybe you know someone with poor posture, you're already here, you're already working on yourself, which is amazing because so much of the world isn't even willing to take that step. So thank you for being here. And I guarantee you know people who need to be here. And just like if we do a conversation in the community or we do a screening or anything else, it's the same thing. It's not because we need more people to be here. We have a responsibility to help more people understand what it is to be healthy. We're doing great. If not another new patient showed up, we'd be fine, but that's not what it's about for us. For us, in my worldview and what their vision of our practices, I believe one of my God-given gifts on this planet was to take care of a very large number of people at a really super high level. And I honestly beat myself up on achieving those goals that I think I should be getting. So we're always going to talk about who is living at a decreased level of health, and posture is a really easy way for us to see that and to maybe begin a conversation of what can we do to maybe change that. So I was going to peek in. We have a bunch of texts. Awesome. So on the home front, people are making friends in Zoom land. And I clicked somewhere different, so now my clicker doesn't work again. Ooh, so bad posture. So subluxations, right? So this is a picture of what a subluxation looks like. Subluxations distort posture. I had no idea that we were going to start with the back of posture equals subluxation, but it often does. Maybe there's something else happening, but if someone has poor posture, then it's a sign that their spine isn't working right. And whether they have a symptom or not, if the spine is not working right, then that means their nervous system isn't working right. Their brain and body can't communicate properly. Their body can't tell the brain about the environment, so then to properly react to the environment. And it may take decades to get there, but eventually their health is going to hit. So what does your posture say about it? Oh, Dr. Sam, we got a couple laughs, but I can pick on Dr. Sam. So Dr. Sam, why do you laugh a little when I ask what your posture says about you?
Just knowing that when I wasn't taking care of myself the level I knew I should, that it did decrease, and knowing that it's like I could see it in certain ways. So it was kind of fun because I had a 15-degree curve that popped up and I didn't take care of it the way I should. And getting back to it, starting to see it going back towards the increasing in health. And that's still right around a 6-degree curve, but it's improving continually. And I laughed because it was like I could see that. I'd sit. Sometimes I'd be leaning over more when I'm doing stuff and it's going, oh, that's building in.
So it's like an iconic statement here. If you don't know better, you can't do better, right? So if we help people just understand, whether it's for ourselves or hopefully others, just a little bit of what we're going to dig into in the research in just a moment. You know, most of you, when I asked what your posture says about you, you had a little giggle for something, right? So we know that sometimes it says things good, sometimes it says things less good. But the amazing thing about posture is we have an opportunity to change it every moment of every day. Now, the reason the subluxation slide was up there before this is there's a challenge though. If we have posture that's a result of subluxations of joints that aren't moving right, we can try our darndest and we still can't have proper posture if the joints can actually move right. So we have lots of people who do in the world that do a lot of really, really good things for themselves. They do things like yoga, they exercise, they have other fitness goals, they do all these other things. And they think sometimes things like, well, and I can think of this one lady, she was a certified, like really high level yoga instructor, sorry. She was somewhere in her like late 70s, early 80s. And she came in for an exam and her spine was like one of the worst ones I've ever seen. So her answer, and I'm not judging, I'm just sharing a story. Her answer was not, let's dig into something different. It's let me go do more yoga. She had like a very close to a surgical intervention curve in her spine. but she went back to do more yoga. There's nothing wrong with yoga. And yes, yoga can help strengthen posture and strengthen things. And if you don't remove the subluxation or the functional problem on the inside, or sorry, the structural problem on the inside, all the functional work you could possibly do isn't going to change it. It's why for a lot of people, and again, nothing wrong with it, why physical therapy fails for so many people is it's not that physical therapy is wrong or bad. It's that physical therapy is a tool wrongly applied to a structural issue in many cases. So sick posture equals a sick person. So in the last iteration of this class, we did this whole thing where I just said sick posture, and you guys said sick person. Sick posture.
Sick person.
One more time. Sick posture.
Sick person.
But if I say sick person, what does that mean?
Sick posture.
Hey, that was better than the last group that we did this with. So that's the only thing you leave with, whether they have symptoms or not. If they have sick posture, they're sick on the inside, plain and simple. So why do we have bad posture? Is we have bad habits. Maybe we learned them from our parents or hereditary issues. It's one of the reasons family is in the name of the practice. One of the reasons you'll see on most days, lots of little kids running around, not just my two little ones running around, but lots of other little kids running around because every child deserves chiropractic. If we can start them out at a young age with a properly functioning spine and nervous system, then most of the issues that most of the people show up with in the office in later stages wouldn't really be existing. But it's also our home and work environment, especially over the last 2+ years, right? So many people are not working at home. They're working at their kitchen table, their dining room table. Maybe they're sitting like this for 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day, and they're not setting themselves up for success. And ADLs, it's activities of daily living. It's the things we do every day. So what we're going to end our conversation with tonight is some ways that we can clean up some of the lifting that we're doing, some of the motions that we're doing, some exercise if we have time to get to them that you can specifically do to help undo the damage we're going to do to ourselves anyway. So the number one thing Dr. Sam and I do that's bad for our spine, any guess? Yeah, we're leaned over chiropractic tables all day long. And we're leaned over typically on the same side, so we're not running into each other. We're leaned over in such a way that we're building potential problems into our spine, so we better do the things we ask you to do. So we get adjusted, we do the chairs, we do all the same work we ask you to do. So this is another example of what bad posture does. This is research into what, not chiropractic research, but the normal healthy posture, fantastic posture. You'll notice there's a heart in here, there's lungs that they didn't put in, so you don't have to not see the heart, but heart and lungs live there, right? So when we have bad posture, it actually compresses the chest, compresses the heart, and decreases your lung volume. So it's not just that if we're living in this posture that, maybe we don't have ideal posture, maybe it's actually compressing our vital organs. What happens if your lungs don't work? What happens if your heart doesn't work? That's pretty bad. But then if we have really bad posture, like it's beyond just a little bit of a forward head posture. We're going to look at a slide that I'll kind of show you where we're at, but this is kind of like somebody living at like phase 1, early phase 2. We're going to look at that in a moment in case you're not sure what that is. This is someone we're getting more to that phase 2, phase 3. This compresses the chest from the front and the back because we're losing the proper curve in the thoracic spine. Our sternum and rib cage is literally crushing in. It's extreme pressure on the heart and much less lung volume. This person has a 144% higher chance, according to the research, of not surviving their next lung or heart issue. That includes things like the common cold. So we started with the conversation of you're going to leave tonight with skill sets and tools to be saving lives. If you know someone walking around like this, they absolutely need to be going to a chiropractor, whether it's me or not, or us or not, that does things similar to what we do of really seeking to correct and to teach you how to change the issue, because otherwise, the next time a cold comes along, the flu comes along, a variant of whatever comes along, because they're actually crushing their vital organs, they have a 144% higher chance than this person of not actually surviving. That's not chiropractic research. Where the heck was that in the news over the last 36 months? So to give you a visual of the neck from the side, right? So this is that normal or fantastic posture. Between here and about here was that middle one of that not great posture. But then we really have that forward leaning head carriage, the bones that are really breaking down, arthritis that's really getting severe and maybe fusing together. This is probably what the person's spine looks like on the inside of throughout that last part of the side. So to give us a quick reminder, this person feels great. How does this person feel? Great. They have no symptoms in phase 1. How does this person feel? Great. except for 2, 3, 4, or 5 days at a time when the symptom shows up. And then this person, maybe not so great. But even here, so people in phase 2, they have symptoms for 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 days, and they tend to come and go. In our society, what do? Ignore or medicate. And then this person down here, their symptoms, they last a little bit longer, maybe a couple of weeks, if that long. They tend to be a little bit more severe. And then what do? Oh, we do the same thing we did here, right? Make sure I say this the right way, because sometimes I sound snarky, because it works so well. But again, if we don't know better, exactly. So even if someone is here, even if they're living in a state of where the joints are fusing together, there's still a ton of hope. Because just because one joint is fused together doesn't mean the rest are yet. And we can help someone in phase 3 where their joints are actually fusing together. We can slow the arthritis down at the minimum, maybe stop in its tracks, get some repair of joint function. But it's going to take some work to do it. So all of you here made a very wise decision of, I'm willing to put in the work. You could have very easily went to a different chiropractic office who wasn't going to ask you to do things like show up to workshops, keep a schedule, engage in a plan of care for your health, and just went kind of willy-nilly when you felt like you needed it. Here I go again, slowing myself down, right? So who's the doctor? I'm not saying I'm not putting myself above anybody else, but if we're seeking help, then why are the doctors telling us to decide our care plan? Again, not judging anybody. Different people choose to practice different ways, but if you have a friend or a family member who's maybe seeing a chiropractor who is not inspiring them to live at their highest level, maybe they should look at a different approach. So it's an inside job. We're going to zoom through because I told you we get to some other parts, and we have 11 minutes left. So you are designed to heal from the inside out. We started with this on your very first day. We started with it on your second day, and we dug into this big chart. This is the version of it that's sitting up in my office in the back. But the idea is every single cell, organ, and tissue in your body is directly connected to the one between your ears. Right? There's no mystery in that. Healthcare and health sciences have known that for a long time. Somehow we're still finding new parts of the nervous system connected to other parts. And we think that's miraculous. Chiropractors have been saying this for a long time. It was like 3 years ago, they realized that your nervous system is actually connected to your immune system through your intestines, through nerves that they just found. Right. Like we said, you're really? That really, again, I'm judging nothing. I'm stating facts of we made this miraculous discovery that your nervous system controls your immune system. Really? Like we knew that already. Chiropractic's been saying that since 1985, since the first adjustment. But anyway, we're catching up. So the nervous system is the master control system of your body. So again, sick posture equals what? So if we're a sick person, we have sick posture, and we likely have, what's that other S word, that thing that we treat?
Subluxation.
That was good, that's a hard word. Subluxations. And subluxations at the minimum disrupt 60% of nerve flow. Well, now we got a big problem. Imagine if everybody got this and like understood this, and we're taking opportunities to really dig in and change the things that they're doing, so they weren't living at maybe 40% of the nerve flow. Now, another important part of that sick posture is we talk about subluxation creating a 60% shorter fit the nerve root. We don't often talk about, we certainly do a better job of, well, what do you think happens when we lose the normal curve and we actually pull on the spinal cord? That's worse than the subluxation. Research says that's a 70% shut off of nerve flow. So if you're at that phase 1, that phase 2, that phase 3, one of the reasons I am so intentional of really trying to help people get people's curves as healthy as we can possibly get them is anything outside of normal posture is actually pulling on the spinal cord. The spinal cord attaches to what? It only attaches to one thing, right? It attaches up here, so it's got to pull on the brain, so it changes the brain function, changes the brain chemistry. We don't have time to go into all the specific details of it, but it's an additional potential 70% off, 70% decrease in the function. And then we have a subluxation that's cutting off another 60%. I don't know what the math is on that. I have a financial CA for a reason, but that's not good news. Yet we can still go for decades without a single symptom. Or we could say things like, well, I don't need to go see a chiropractor because I feel good, or I go when I'm in pain, or whatever it happens to be. I'm not really sure why I keep going with that. So somebody at home or here maybe needed that conversation, or maybe there's a guest somewhere. But if we only respond to our health when we're in crisis, the only thing we're going to have is health in crisis. So another version to look at is this again. This is the great posture. This is the bad posture. This is the terrible posture. So if someone's head instead of 12 pounds weighs 32 or 42 pounds, they probably are not going to feel very good. They're probably going to have a lot of tension. Maybe they're going to have headaches. Maybe they're going to just feel like their shoulders are up in their ears, right? So again, that's what by feeling, but function, we already know what that does. So this person, they're compressing their heart and lungs, remember. So what does the research say their likelihood of being significantly challenged, maybe not surviving, what is the percentage? There's 100 and something, 144%. So if you know someone who lives like this, we have to, whether they do it or not, you have a responsibility to share with them. Because if they live like this, they're decreasing their life expectancy and their quality of life. When you now know what the answer could be, if we find it's something we can help with, and if they're willing to put the work in, like you guys. Come on, a little bigger. So what that could result in, and again, we're going to zip through this because I want to get to the proper lifting, but immune issues, headaches, stress response, respiratory distress, we talked about that already. If we're looking at the lifting side, and that was only the neck, and other versions when we have other spots to dig into, we talk about what happens at the posture for the thoracic spine of that mid back or that low back. But if all we do is just end here, this could be a major takeaway, another major takeaway for all of us. So when we're standing upright, generally there's roughly 80 pounds of pressure on the human spine. Of course, there's some variation, some people a little more, a little less, but it's roughly 80 pounds. So then if we're standing upright and we're picking up 20 pounds of pressure and we're holding it within 10 inches of our body, so pretty much right here, that 80 pounds now is the pressure of 170 pounds. So has anyone picked up 20 pounds or more of something today? Or this week, right? This month? At some point we picked up some groceries that probably weigh more than 20 pounds, probably. So are we holding them right against our body, or maybe we're like holding them out, trying to open doors, trying to do this other stuff? Well, now let's move that out just another 10 inches. So now we're holding the box out kind of like this. That 170 goes to 260 pounds of pressure on your spine. So 260 pounds is roughly 300% more pressure. The math is a little off, it'd be 240, but it's roughly 300% more pressure on your spine, but all you're doing is carrying 20 pounds. Well, how the heck did we pick up the 20 pounds? Well, we had to bend over and get it, right? So if we bent over to get it and it was already sitting out in front of us, 635 pounds of pressure on your spine. And the human body is so miraculously designed that it can do that time and time and time and time and time again until all of a sudden it can't. And now we have a problem. We slip a disc, we pull a muscle, we do something, but it's this repetitive motion, these things that we're doing every single day that are really really building challenges in. But what if we only picked up a pound from 20 inches away? 460 pounds of pressure on the spine. Again, your spine is incredibly, and your entire body is incredibly intelligently designed. But if we don't know how to use it by its design, we run into issues. The worst pain I think I've ever had in my life, it was a teenager. I was a teenager, that was the proper way to say that. And I picked up a basketball. How much does a basketball weigh? Not very much. I believed at the time that I had really high levels of skill. I don't know if I believed it or not, but we were at one of those bank shot basketball spots where you had to do all these trick shots. And we're turning and we're twisting and we're doing things that teenage boys do and not the most intelligent ways ever. And I bent over and twisted to pick the basketball up and I was done. I was laid out on the ground. I couldn't get up. And then I went to my chiropractor and I was better. The short version of that story, but it didn't take a major trauma to cause some of the worst pain I've ever had. In fact, I didn't go to the chiropractor right away. I went to my primary doctor first and he said, you have a separated rib cage. How terrifying is that? Right? You have a separated rib cage. So I got the anti-inflammatories, the painkillers, this, that, the other thing. And within a very short amount of time, I realized I didn't like how I felt. So I would take it. A couple days later, I got up and I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. Let me just kind of move around and right over again. So my mom said, well, maybe you should go to my chiropractor. I said, oh, that's a good idea. I didn't have a separated rib cage. That's terrible. That's what they do in surgery. I had a subluxated rib. One, he adjusted me, and you needed more than one, but the one adjustment put the rib back into place, and then with follow-up care, we retrained it so it never happened again. But then if we're sitting, anybody sit during the day? Right? 1 pound of pressure sitting, because we're in a compromised position against gravity, is 220 pounds of pressure on your spine. So the idea of this slide is the little things we do every day that seem almost inconsequential, they can add up to really big things. process. Another visual that took me years to get this is the phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back. So it took me seeing a picture of a camel with like this ridiculous amount of straw on it for my brain to like be able to visualize, well, it's already like thousands of pounds of straw, but if I put one more on, that's it, right? Our bodies work the same exact way. So we have to stop the damage. We have to acknowledge we have a problem. We have to get adjusted if subluxations are present, which means we have to get checked to see if we have subluxations. We have to break the bad habits. We have to train on new healthy habits. This is how we change it. So this is an example of what can happen in someone's posture with a single adjustment. Right, so we do the posture in front of the mirror. We have you see it. This did it in front of a graph, but this is, you can see that difference pretty easily. And that's just they got adjusted one time. Because if the joints are subluxated, as hard as you try, you can't get ideal proper posture. And if at home, we're going to be wrapping it up in just a moment. Here is the survey for you guys to take. Ooh. Aha, Mr. Lewis is on. I'm not going to say his first name for HIPAA. He's commenting that he's been here for 10 years getting adjusted. It's a very smart decision. And I clicked somewhere else and I will never learn. I've been doing this for how many years? There we go. So an example of what we can undo the damage with. So we can all, if we don't have an exercise ball at home, you can do it with some pillows off your couch. But we spend our whole day doing this. It'd be a really good idea to do things that are extending our spine. Or maybe it's, you're going to get on the floor and do that. I think it's called a cobra in yoga or something, where you're pushing up and you're really extending back. If you're to the point where you've gotten a dental roll, please actually use the tools that you're given. They make up about 40% of your body's ability to recover, because in the minute or two long that it takes to do the best possible adjustment you could wish for, we can't undo the other however many minutes are in a day, the 23 hours and 58 minutes of other potential not great positions we're putting ourselves in. But if we can build into our lives activities like this on the screen, or upgrading how we're sitting at work to really make those changes, or sitting in the car, then we can build on top of the work that we're doing, the adjustments that you're getting. If you've graduated to the point where you're on the traction chairs over there really working on all those curves, then pretty simple things can make really big differences. And if you're in your car and you don't know, one of the things Dr. Sam and I can do, you have to schedule it with the team, is we can actually go check your posture in your car and see if your car is set up right. Because we all spend a lot of time there. Imagine if it's set up poorly, but you're comfortable in this position, and maybe you're in there for an hour a day commuting. Now for lifting, here's how we're going to do it properly. And this is where we're going to come to the end of our conversation, because I promised I would get to this part. So if we're lifting, what do you notice that this person is doing? Where is the weight that they're picking up? So it's really close. So imagine, so this person, we'll just say, has the strength to pick this thing up by, sorry, at home, you won't be able to see this, I'm going to disappear, by simply bending down and picking it up. But they're not like bending down and trying to do it out here. They're bending down and trying to pick it up from here and coming straight up. Now, maybe we don't have the strength to go into a squat and do that. So what I love about why I have both pictures, you can also be in a half squat, pick the thing up and hold it against your body and use your legs to push yourself up. That is way better than if we're in the half squat and we're like, well, let me go over here to get this thing, and then we try to bring it up. We didn't even talk about the pressure and what the research shows when we add a twisting force into the spine when lifting things. That's just simply if it's a little too far away from lifting. So where I would like to end our evening is we want to work a lot of stuff. I have a tendency of getting excited. What is one thing that you can do different, or one person that you're going to share something with? Do you have an opportunity to change the trajectory of their health in their life? Let's start with you. Something. The one knee. Awesome. Like, it seems, now that we see it, it almost seems so simple, but it's the little changes we can make that can make really big differences. And that will help specifically, without going more specific, a lot of the challenges you're having. It's going to take a lot of pressure off those joints.
My daughter.
So what's your daughter's first name?
Able.
So one of the things the team is going to do is we're going to connect with you on these people at a different date. And just see if we've shared it or if you shared it.
And would like to get a consultation on
Carson. Okay. So when you come in for your appointment tomorrow, connect with Miss Natalie. She'll schedule that in my afternoon consultation hour. So we'll have a few minutes, we can come out, you'll sit in the car, we'll make sure everything is positioned.
I definitely want to do the car
Yeah.
consultation. But definitely doing the proper lifting for myself. And then I have to pay attention to work for the around me. So I feel like if I pay attention to the people around me, I could recommend that could use this.
Okay, awesome. Because again, if they don't know better, I guess we didn't beat the rain. Sorry, guys. It comes to mind for you.
Yeah, I mean, paying more attention to my phone.
So that was our TechNet class, right?
Yeah. And it was more like this, and I just wait a minute, and go back up again.
So do you know some of the fun things we're doing in the practice right now? So what the starfish are about, why we have a beach scene up, how you could maybe be on a boat, not in weather like this, but on a calm day. So right now we're in what's called an expansion cycle. And in an expansion cycle, we're seeking to expand the knowledge in our return community. And again, it's never about getting more people in, it's about getting more truth out. So one of the ways that we thought it would be fun is if there's someone who you would like to refer in, or whether you think they're going to come or not, we put their name on a starfish. Without having a lot of time to dig into the starfish, starfish goes on the beach. Can a starfish survive on the beach? No. So when they come in, we move them into the water. Now we have the starfish story. We can go over that another time, but I want to be respectful of time. We're already over by about a minute. And if you choose to play and engage, one of the things we're giving away is 2 sunset boat cruises with our friends over at Freedom Boat Club. They're supplying the captain, we're supplying the snacks. It's for up to 6 people. And you can win either by various engagements in the office or just simply sending everybody you notice and come and get checked. Doesn't matter if they get an exam, doesn't matter if they choose care. It's about getting more truth and more knowledge out for what people can do. So thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you for those at home. We're going to end the Zoom. And as a reminder, starting June 1st, in person only, with the slight exception of I will record at least 1 a month to be on YouTube for those who can't get here because they're at work or maybe they're not comfortable driving it. And next week, bring a friend to sit.
Have you thought about Instagram?